When you think about the human spine, especially when we talk about rotational sports like golf, there is this massive tendency to treat it like a wet towel.
Yeah, like you're just wringing it out.
Exactly. You see people on the tee box trying to grab both ends of their torso and just, wring it out as hard as they can to generate power.
Right.
But anatomically and biologically, your spine is supposed to act much more like a highly engineered coiled spring.
And treating it like a wet towel rather than a coiled spring is essentially the difference between, a long, healthy athletic career and a lifetime of debilitating chronic back pain.
So we're going deep today into the holy grail of golf biomechanics, because here is a staggering reality for you. When you swing a golf club, the compressive loads on your lower back can reach over 8 times your body weight.
8 times.
8 times.
To put that in perspective for you, running, which is essentially just a series of plyometric bounds, generates about 4 times your body weight in compressive load.
Wow.
Yeah, and rowing is about 7. So golf is subjecting your spine to an absolutely massive amount of axial torque and compression, and it's all happening in a fraction of a second.
So we're doubling the compressive force of running while simultaneously twisting at high speed. It's no wonder that repetitive swing motion and, well, poor mechanics are the top 2 causes of lower back injuries across the board.
Right, from weekend warriors to PGA Tour professionals.
Yeah. Your back is contending with torsional twisting, lateral bending, and that 8 times body weight compression all at once. Over time, that repetitive stress literally degrades the structures around your spinal joints.
But here's the crucial distinction, right?
Hmm.
It is not the sport of golf itself that is inherently bad for your back. It is poor mechanics paired with a deeply flawed understanding of human anatomy.
Definitely.
We tend to view the spine as a single uniform unit, just a rod that twists. But that couldn't be further from the truth.
I want to break this down because this was a massive aha moment for me. We look at a golf swing and we hear coaches say, like, turn your back or twist your lower back.
Oh, yeah, constantly.
Right. But structurally, the lower back, the lumbar spine, is virtually incapable of twisting.
It's true. The movement expert, Shirley Sarman, mapped this out perfectly in her research. The lumbar spine only has about 13 degrees of total rotation.
Wait, total?
Total. You have 5 lumbar vertebrae, meaning you are getting roughly 2 degrees of rotation per segment.
Wait, so I'm trying to picture this. If I only have 13 degrees of rotation in my lower back, how am I getting the club all the way behind my head? How am I turning my shoulders 90 degrees?
Well, you aren't turning your lower back, or at least you shouldn't be.
Okay.
You're supposed to be turning your chest and your hips. Your thoracic spine, so the mid-back and chest area, has about 55 degrees of freedom. It all comes down to the shape of the bones.
Because of the joints.
Exactly. The facet joints in your lumbar spine are oriented vertically. They look like 2 hands clapping together, which completely blocks rotational movement.
So they just smash into each other?
Right. They're built for flexion and extension, so bending forward and backward, and for rigid stability. But the joints in your thoracic spine overlap like shingles on a roof, which allows them to glide and rotate smoothly.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, because here's the problem. We sit at desks, we hunch over our phones, and our thoracic spines get completely locked up into a rigid curve.
Right.
If my chest can't rotate its 55 degrees, but I still want to hit the golf ball 250 yards, what happens?
Your body cheats. There's a principle in spiral dynamic that perfectly describes this. The body does what is easy, not what is best.
Ah, that makes sense.
If your thoracic spine is stiff, your nervous system still wants to complete the motor task you asked of it, which is swinging the club. So it forces that twisting motion downward into the lumbar spine.
So you are basically taking those vertical clapping hand joints in the lower back and grinding them sideways against each other.
Exactly. You are forcing a joint to do something it wasn't engineered to do. That creates massive shear forces, which tear the discs and strain the ligaments.
And this brings us to Fryet's laws. Specifically, Fryet's third law. I had honestly never heard of this before, but it completely changes how you think about posture.
Yeah, it's a fundamental osteopathic rule.
Mm-hmm.
Fryet's third law dictates that when motion is introduced to the spine in one plane, it significantly reduces the spine's ability to move in the other 2 planes.
Let's translate that out of the medical jargon for a second.
Sure.
If I'm standing over the ball and my posture is sloppy, like I'm slouched over, hunched in the shoulders, that means my spine is bent forward. I have introduced motion in the sagittal plane.
Right. And because you've used up your spine's budget for movement by slouching forward, the joints physically lock out.
Wow.
Your spine's ability to safely rotate in the transverse plane absolutely plummets. You are essentially eliminating your rotational capacity before you even start the backswing.
That's
If
crazy.
you try to turn from a slouched posture, you are immediately grinding bone on bone.
That makes total sense. So if we can't rely on twisting the spine, where is this massive rotational power actually coming from?
Right, that's the big question.
This leads us to the anatomy trains model, which views the body not as isolated muscles, but as continuous connective pathways. The golf swing isn't just your arms and your back.
No, not at all.
It is a full body event driven by what's called the spiral line.
The spiral line is a marvel of human architecture. Think of it as a myofascial double helix that wraps around your entire body.
Okay.
It connects the back of your skull, crosses the upper back via the rhomboids and serratus anterior muscles, wraps around your ribs to the front of your abdomen,
Right.
crosses over to your opposite hip bone, specifically the ACIS, and then runs all the way down the outside of your leg, under the arch of your foot, and back up.
It's like a full body jump rope.
That's a great analogy, actually. When you coil your body in a golf swing, you are loading and unloading this continuous elastic band that connects your skull to the arch of your foot.
So if I have a stiff ankle that rolls poorly or tight hips, that actually affects my shoulder turn?
Absolutely. A localized view of the golf swing, like just staring at the arms or the lower back, always fails.
Yeah.
If that jump rope gets snagged at the ankle because of poor mobility, the kinetic energy doesn't just disappear, it has to go somewhere.
So it goes to the lower back.
Exactly. The force gets dumped into the weakest link in the chain, which is almost always the vulnerable lower back.
Let's take all this anatomy and step onto the tee box. Let's talk about the actual swing mechanics, starting with what not to do. The reverse C swing fault.
Oh boy, yeah.
If you look at older GAR photos, you see players finishing their swing looking like they are doing a gymnastics backbend. Their hips slide way forward, their head stays far behind, and their spine is hyperextended backward in the shape of a letter C.
It looks dramatic,
Yeah.
but it is the primary cause of lower back injury. It happens because the golfer isn't actually rotating their hips. They are sliding them laterally toward the target.
Sliding instead of turning.
Right. When you slide instead of turn, you run out of room, and the only way to get the club through the ball is to aggressively arch your back.
To fix this, biomechanics experts point to the athletic swing, which relies on coiling the torso in a pure rotary motion to maximize centrifugal force.
Exactly.
But to rotate purely, you have to maintain your spine angles.
Yes, there are two crucial angles. First is your primary spine angle, which is your athletic ready position.
At the proper hip hinge.
Right. You push your hips back rather than just bending your knees and slouching your shoulders.
Okay.
Second is the secondary spine angle, which is a slight tilt of your spine away from the target when you set up.
And what happens when an amateur loses those angles during the swing?
Well, everything falls apart. If you stand up out of your posture during the backswing, losing that primary angle, your body panics.
Because it's out of position?
It has to find the ball again on the downswing. Usually that results in an aggressive lateral slide and a massive downward chop, rather than a smooth rotation.
And the data on this is wild.
Yeah, the kinematic data shows that because amateurs lose these angles and slide, they generate 50 to 80% more spinal load than professionals.
While actually producing 34% less club head speed.
Exactly.
Think about that. You are working infinitely harder, absolutely destroying your lumbar discs and hitting the ball significantly shorter.
Huh.
It's the ultimate golfer's dilemma.
It really is.
And the secret to that pro-level club speed isn't muscle mass, it's the stretch reflex. We always hear about the X factor, this 2-to-1 ratio of shoulder turn to hip turn.
Right, you want your shoulders to rotate roughly twice as much as your hips on the backswing.
Okay.
Let's say your hips turn 45 degrees.
Right?
You want your shoulders turning 90 degrees. This differential creates a massive coil, stretching the trunk muscles, specifically your obliques and lumbar rotators.
But how does that actually generate speed? Because that's just stretching.
Inside your muscles are sensor receptors called muscle spindles. When a muscle is stretched rapidly, these spindles detect the change in length and send an emergency signal to the spinal cord.
Oh, so it's a nervous system response.
Right. To protect the joint from tearing, the nervous system fires back a signal to automatically, violently contract that muscle. That's the stretch reflex.
Wow.
You aren't consciously forcing the downswing. Your nervous system is snapping the rubber band back for you, generating explosive free speed.
Which brings us to the multi-million-dollar question. If we're creating this massive rotational coil, how do we stabilize it? because the forces trying to rip our spine apart are enormous.
Very true.
And honestly, discovering the truth about this blew my mind because everything we've been taught about core stability is completely wrong.
It is a profound paradigm shift. For decades, the fitness industry told us that a strong core means having a six-pack, doing endless twisting sit-ups, and drawing the navel to the spine or sucking in your gut to protect your back.
Right. Every trainer used to say belly button to spine. But Dr. Beaubeard's work on intra-abdominal pressure, or IAP, completely dismantles that idea.
It does.
He says to stop thinking of your core as a flat washboard and start thinking of it as a pressurized cylinder.
Exactly. Visualize a closed cylinder. The top lid of the cylinder is your thoracic diaphragm, the primary breathing muscle sitting just under your lungs.
Okay, so that's the top.
The bottom lid is your pelvic floor, and the sides, wrapping 360 degrees around, are your abdominal muscles and obliques.
So if I suck my stomach in, I'm literally crushing the walls of the cylinder inward, displacing all that pressure upward and downward, which destroys my stability.
Right, you're collapsing the system.
The perfect analogy for this is a baby. Look at a baby trying to stand up or crawl. They don't have six-packs. They have these round little Buddha bellies.
But they have flawless 360-degree breathing. When a baby inhales, their belly, their lower back, and their ribs all expand outward simultaneously.
That's amazing.
That perfect expansion creates a solid pressure cylinder inside their torso. That pressure acts like an internal airbag that completely stabilizes the spine, allowing them to lift their massive heads and learn to walk without any back pain.
Now contrast that perfectly pressurized baby with what biomechanists call the open scissors posture.
You see this constantly in desk workers and even elite athletes. Their ribs are flared up in the front, and their pelvis is dumped forward into an anterior tilt.
Meaning their belt buckle is pointing at the floor.
Right. The top lid of the cylinder, the diaphragm, and the bottom lid, the pelvic floor, are no longer parallel. They are angled away from each other like an open pair of scissors.
And when the scissors are open, you can't create intra-abdominal pressure. All the internal pressure just leaks out the front of your abdomen.
Precisely. And when you lose that internal airbag, your nervous system registers that the spine is completely unprotected. It panics.
It has to protect the spine somehow.
Right. To stop your spine from snapping under the 8x bodyweight load of the golf swing, the brain over-recruits the lumbar erector muscles, the thick muscles running down your lower back.
Oh, so that's why they get so tight.
It clamps them down in a permanent state of tension. That creates massive chronic compression on your spine just from standing around, let alone swinging a club.
This connects so perfectly to desk worker syndrome. We sit slumped over keyboards all day. Our ribs collapse down and our diaphragm gets physically cramped. We can't use it to breathe anymore, so the body switches to secondary respiration.
Right. We start taking shallow chest breaths using our neck and shoulder muscles, the scalenes and upper traps.
That is exactly why your neck and shoulders are burning at the end of the workday.
Yep. But more importantly, because you aren't using your diaphragm to breathe, you completely lose your internal pressure cylinder. Your lower back is stripped of its armor.
So practically speaking, as a golfer or a coach, how do we fix this? The Titleist Performance Institute, TPI, has a very clear, heavily researched directive here.
Yes, they do.
They say we need to completely rethink our warm-ups and stop doing lumbar twisting exercises.
They are spot on. Walk into any gym and you'll see people doing what are called scorpions.
Oh, I've seen those.
Lying on their stomach, picking one leg up, and violently tossing it over their body to twist their lower back. Or they're sitting on the floor with a heavy medicine ball, aggressively slamming it side to side in a Russian twist.
But wait, we just established that the lower back only has 2 degrees of rotation per segment.
Exactly. So you are aggressively grinding those delicate facet joints together under load. TPI advocates focusing your mobility work entirely on the joints designed to rotate, which are internal and external hip rotation and thoracic mobility.
Which brings us back to spiral dynamic and the ribs. We tend to think of our rib cage as this solid, rigid bird cage that just protects our heart and lungs. But ribs are actually highly dynamic. They're designed to spiral.
They have to move. They articulate with your thoracic vertebrae in the back and your sternum in the front. The spiral dynamic principle is simple. When you rotate your torso, your upper ribs should follow your head and your lower ribs should follow your pelvis.
So it's a dual action.
The crucial takeaway is this. If your ribs are locked down, your thoracic spine is locked down.
There is a fantastic physical therapy exercise that highlights this called the open book stretch.
I love that one.
You lie on your side, knees tucked up to lock out the lumbar spine, and you open your top arm to rotate your chest toward the ceiling. But the stretch itself isn't the secret. The secret is the breath work. You cannot physically rotate your thoracic spine if your rib cage is clamped down by shallow breathing.
This is where the magic happens. When you are in that open, rotated position, you take a massive, deep inhale. Inhaling expands the rib cage and physically stretches the intercostal muscles that run between the ribs.
So the breath creates the space.
Right. The inhale creates the space. Then, as you exhale, the ribs relax, the spine flattens toward the floor, and you gain new range of motion.
Oh.
If you just try to force the twist while holding your breath, your ribs act like a parking brake on your spine. By pairing rotation with deep diaphragmatic breathing, you release the brake.
Okay, let's step back and look at the whole picture. When you connect all these anatomical realities, it completely shifts how you view the body.
It really does.
First, the golf swing isn't a lower back twist. It is a full-body spiral transferring energy from the ground, up the leg, across the opposite hip, and through the shoulders.
Hold on.
Second, that power relies on extreme mobility in your thoracic spine and your hips, while your lower back's only job is to remain rigidly stable.
Exactly.
And third, that stability does not come from doing sit-ups or sucking your stomach in. It comes from maintaining perfect 360-degree intra-abdominal pressure, locking your ribs and pelvis parallel to each other.
Master those principles.
Yeah.
And you aren't just adding clubhead speed and distance because your kinematic sequence is more efficient. You're fundamentally changing how your body absorbs shock.
That's the real win here.
You take the 8x bodyweight load off the tiny, vulnerable facet joints and discs, and you distribute it across the massive myofascial networks that evolved specifically to handle that tension.
It is incredible how intelligently the body protects itself when you just align it correctly. There is a clinical case study by Lehman and McGill that perfectly illustrates this.
Yes, a really groundbreaking study.
They took a PGA professional, wired him up with EMG electromyography sensors to measure the electrical firing of his muscles during the swing. Then, they performed a chiropractic adjustment to improve his biomechanics and restore proper spinal alignment.
And the post-adjustment data is fascinating. After the alignment, the golfer's total range of motion in all three planes increased. He could turn further and faster.
Which you'd expect.
But the true breakthrough was what the EMG sensors revealed about his lower back muscles.
Right. The electrical activity in the erector spinae, the lower back muscles, actually decreased.
Significantly. He was swinging freer, with a much larger range of motion, but using far less muscular effort in his lower back.
Wait, how is that possible? More speed, less effort.
It proves the neurological concept we've been discussing. When your spine is misaligned or lacks internal pressure, your brain constantly feels like it is in danger.
So it just tightens everything up.
Exactly. It forcefully recruits those lower back muscles to splint the area, acting like an emergency parking brake. But once the alignment is restored and the pressure cylinder is secure, the nervous system feels safe.
So it lets go.
It releases the brake. It stops over-recruiting those muscles, allowing for fluid, complex, high-speed motor tasks without the restriction of muscular guarding.
So the chronic tightness you feel in your lower back right now might not be because your back is weak. It might literally just be your brain desperately trying to protect you from your own terrible biomechanics.
In almost all cases of non-structural back pain, that is exactly what is happening. Your tightness is a neurological symptom of poor stability elsewhere.
I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, building on everything we've unpacked today. If your spine's ability to safely rotate is entirely dependent on your ribs expanding, and if that expansion relies on your diaphragm creating internal pressure, consider your daily life. Sitting at a desk, dealing with emails, sitting in traffic.
The daily grind.
Exactly. Daily psychological stress forces human beings into shallow fight-or-flight chest breathing. So how much does your daily stress literally sabotage your golf swing and cause your back pain before you even step foot onto the first tee?
It's a profound connection. I mean, if you're stressed, you aren't breathing. If you aren't breathing, your spine is locked. It is really that simple.
If you enjoyed today's deep dive, please subscribe to our channel and share it with fellow golfers, coaches, and PGA professionals.
And if there's a topic you would like us to research, analyze, and discuss in a future deep dive, feel free to send us an email or connect with us through LinkedIn.
Whether your interest is golf biomechanics, kinematics, ground reaction forces, swing mechanics, putting, coaching, club fitting, technology, or sports science, we would love to hear from you.
Our team will review your submission, conduct extensive research, analyze the available evidence, and may create a dedicated deep dive article, video, or testing project based on your topic.
Thank you for being part of the eCoach 360 community. Keep your spine coiled, breathe deep, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.